Hey, it's Chris Lipper from On the Bus Sales Training Coaching Consulting, and we are doing a series of testimonials and meeting with an old friend and client and member, Lois from Fitness Knocking, and it just warms my heart to see you. And I always love seeing that circle R in your name, and that there's great pride with that. So Lois, just it's good to see you first of all, and a little bit about our history together. Why don't you tell us a little bit what it was like, or where you were at when we first started working together, what changes you made, and how you used our different classes and everything else, and where you're at today.
Wow, that's going back a few years we've known each other, Chris. So I started this company back in 2016, and I came from working a public education teacher position for a long time before I started this company. And I thought I knew a lot more about business than I did. And I thought I was like, oh, it was going to be pretty easy to run a company. And I kind of just jumped in without really knowing too much. And I quickly learned that I needed to be educated or schooled on the different things that a business owner needs to have. And when I first hired my first business coach, which wasn't Chris, I realized very quickly that it just didn't jive and I needed something more. And then I met Patty from Follow Me Social Media, who eventually connected me to Chris. And Chris changed my business life as far as the tools that he gave. So, Chris, you helped me through all the hard things. I'm not going to lie, you made me cry more than I think most people do. But that emotional connection to me really wanting to make it work was necessary in order for me to go through the hard changes and hear the hard things that ultimately made me better. And so I guess in the beginning, I really didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know what I didn't know. And you, along with the group of people that I worked with On the Bus, all the people that were around me, all the other business owners, made such a huge impact on my ability to take a step out of being the technician and step into the role of business ownership and understanding the difference. That first book that you made me read, The E-Myth, made a huge impact because that gave me the really good understanding of kind of where I was, where I wanted to be, where I didn't want to be, and set forth a future goal of what I wanted, which is pretty much what I do now and what I've been doing, just formalized it all. And it made me systematize the business a lot more, which was something that I was kind of already doing in some respects, but not as good as I could have done. And systematizing. Oh, go ahead.
Do you remember any of your early challenges?
Oh, I had so many.
I remember there were some hiring ones, and also your interviewing of prospects. But
yeah.
Any come to mind for you?
The difficult questions that people were to ask me when it came to clients, especially, one of the things that stands out was the money talk. Mm-hmm. Getting someone's budget was always something that I didn't want to talk about. It was uncomfortable asking those kinds of questions. So having those questions and asking those questions up front in a conversation, or saying something like, I don't know what your budget is. Would you like to share it with me? Because I want to do my best to work within it, is one of those things that's uncomfortable to talk about. And some people won't talk about their budget right up front, but I'm okay with knowing that we're good and I'm good and my team is good, and that if the client doesn't want to work with us or can't work with us, that I'm okay with it. And I know that there's enough people out there that do need us and that do find the value in what we do and will ultimately work with us. Because now we work with sizable companies, we work with municipalities, we work with one-on-one clients still, and my team has grown.
That was a big jump. That was a big jump for you to go for the client, for the businesses versus the individuals. And I also recall that you had tried a lot of different things marketing wise, and it was nice for you to have a group to run stuff by and have that accountability on the ROI and that kind of stuff. Do you want to comment on any of that?
Sure. I think for me, putting my head in the sand, and I know a lot of people do it in the fitness world, right? So somebody will say, oh, I haven't been evaluated. I don't know where I'm starting, or I don't know where I'm going, because they're almost afraid of not meeting that target. But having no goal is like getting into a car and going to Asbury Park and not ever, if you've never been there before, you need to have some kind of directions to get there. But you have to, as you would say, cookbook it. You have to start with the end goal in mind and then go backwards in time. You can't just expect to get there. Oh, I want to make $1 million. Well, how are you going to make $1 million? What do you have to do on the daily in order to make that happen? So goal setting is something that I've always done in the exercise space, but in the business space, it's absolutely necessary too. So, but having that accountability for me was golden, because now I'm accountable to myself. In the beginning, it's hard to be accountable to yourself because you're afraid of looking at the numbers. But once you get used to looking at the numbers, it's almost like, oh, what day is it? It's the 9th. Oh, today I have to run my number. It's like, it becomes part of the routine. And once it's part of the routine, then you know at any given point, oh, you know what? That's because back in blank month, I slacked off because I went on vacation or whatever. Like I can almost pinpoint the problem to fix it for the future.
Yep. I remember having those talks, not necessarily with you, but when people take their foot off the gas, 3 months from now, things are going to be slow and you're going to wonder why. And it's because 3 months earlier, you stopped networking or whatever it might be. So,
absolutely. And training my staff on that stuff too. So everything that I was on like the snail's pace track, whereas some of my new employees, I actually hired a full-time person to help with business development. And you were in my head pretty much most of the time while I was hiring her and while I trained her to do a 30-second. Like when I first met her, she never even she'd never even heard of the word elevator pitch, never did one. So is she amazing yet? No, but she has so much potential for growth. And I can see her in 6 months from now nailing it. Yep. And being inventive and being creative, where it took me like years to get that good.
I think you're being harder on yourself than you need to be. It didn't take you that long, but I think you're right. And I've met with your person and she's got the guts and she's got the personality, and yeah, it's just fine tuning it and keeping it interesting and adding different toppings to the burger kind of thing. And that's terrific. So right. I was going to ask where you're at now, but it sounds like you're in a really good place.
Yeah, we're really cooking right now. We're very busy. I hired a full-timer, and I did hire a couple of new part-time personal trainers. So my team has grown substantially. Like when I first started, I think I started right off the bat with like 4 or 5 trainers. Now I'm up to about 15.
Yep.
And a few of them are sometime anytimers, they just take on a couple of clients, but others of them are really, really busy. And my goal is to keep them getting busy and staying busy and get more times of the day where people typically aren't working out, which is cool because that corporate client can fill in some of that interim time, those middle of the days where a lot of the typical trainers are not exercising or not working.
All right. So one last question, and then just to get you ready, I am going to ask you to give your 30-second intro at the end.
Sure.
But so would you recommend On the Bus? And if so, to who? At what level of entrepreneurship? Where would they be at? So first, I'll let you answer the questions. Go ahead.
Well, I would recommend that anyone that has a business that wants to see growth or is stuck, business ownership is lonely, and having a place to go until you find your own tribe is necessary in no matter what stage of the game that you're in. But when you're doing good and you want to be great, that's when you need Chris. That's when you need Chris's guidance. And Chris has solutions that most people would never think of and will put you out of your comfort zone in a good way to ultimately help to create the success, whatever that is for you.
Thank you. And so at any stage of the game, whether you're new or wanting to
I think if you're new, you need Chris the most. I think people need you the most at the beginning. That's my personal opinion. But I think that at any point where there's some kind of feeling of stuck or stagnant or plateau, and you want to break through that, having your business looked at through the lens of you would be so helpful.
So I appreciate that, because I see it the other way. I see it's at the end where we're needed the most, where somebody's getting ready to sell or wants to sell or transition to a next generation. That's where we come.
Maybe then too. Yeah. I think the value from your book especially is because, I was part of the stages of you building that book. And I remember talking about notes on that book. Yep. That book has such gold in it that it's like for any business owner to read that would be valuable. And the tools and the way you explain things, it's brilliant.
It's sweet of you to say. Thank you, Lois. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for being in my life and just everything else. You've been wonderful. And Lois has made a difference in my life as well. And I used to take classes with her, both live and virtually. And I do miss that. I no longer am in the area, but please give us your 30-second intro.
Okay, let me get my timer on.
Good
Chris
girl.
always says you have to have a timer on, just so you know.
If you want to go 45, that's fine too. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. Pressure's on. Here we go. So hi, everybody. I'm Lois from Fitness Knocking. We are a mobile personal training service sending our team out to our clients mobily like this, as well as in person in New Jersey and parts of New York. If you have family members and friends who are struggling with COVID-19, with trying to feel better emotionally, physically, inside and out, we are the people that you should be calling to be able to feel good. So again, I'm Lois from Fitness Knocking. Thanks so much, Chris. I appreciate you having me on today.
All right. Lois, thank you. I'm going to stop recording.